that happens. So we do have to comply. It's, as the president said, it's a new normal. I think we can give feedback about concerns of privacy or the protection of personal information for the Minister of Justice to be able to look at those forms from health. We do not have the authority in tourism to change those forms. They must be complied with by us in the sector as they per the instruction of the Minister of Health. But I think the intention must be understood that is for purposes of ensuring that South Africans are protected, both as individuals and as a society as a whole. Bonga, in terms of stay over, it is allowed when you go to conferencing because it's within permitted services. Remember the regulations that speaks to hotels, that's why I said they have not changed. The regulation or the directions that I've issued that relate to hotels, they are saying that accommodations must be provided for permitted services. This is a permitted service that will be allowed. I didn't go in detail with the hotel regulation directions because I thought that we already knew, but with the publication, because we thought it's important to remind everybody, including in our sector, we have included them. So when they are out on Monday, because remember it's Friday evening, so gazetting, when it happens, it will be on Monday. So when they are out, then that's what we'll have in terms of that. I have answered all the questions that have been given to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you, DG. With your kind permission, Minister, let us take another round of questions. I'll first check with if we have any telephones on.
Thanks, Chair. We have a follow-up question from Boitumelo Masetleho, Tourism Update. You can go ahead, Boitumelo.
Yes, my question is to the Minister of Tourism. Following up, the Minister allowed hunting and gaming activities in her previous statement, but the hunting and gaming activities are not for recreational or trophy hunting, which are the ones that really contribute to the tourism economy. They're only for subsistence hunting. I'd like to ask the Minister, what is the indication in opening up the hunting industry that actually brings in revenue to the tourism industry?
Thanks, Chair. Bonga Duladu from EWN also has a follow-up question. Over to you, Bonga.
Bonga, follow-up question.
Hi, thank you very much. Minister, the Tourism Business Council has said that the lockdown has wiped out over 60 billion rand in tourism in this country since the lockdown has begun. I wanted to find out, do you think the relief fund is enough to save the tourism industry in this country? And also post-COVID-19, how do you think we will recover if you only have 200 billion rand to save some businesses now, even though restaurants, 30% of them apparently have closed permanently because of COVID-19? Thank you.
Thank you. Any caller, Ishmael?
That's all for now. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let us go to the WhatsApp line. Ignatius?
Thank you, Chair. I have Mbali Tetani from Newsroom Africa. She's asking, restaurants are allowed to sell alcohol from Monday to Thursday and from 9 to 5 p.m. only for takeaway. Are customers allowed to consume that alcohol at the restaurants? And I have Matthew from Times Live. Can you confirm that restaurants and etc. can open from Monday? I have Richard from Maidubi Media is the second question. Can the minister confirm that people can travel to anywhere within the province for self-drive trips and to stay at leisure accommodation, as police have been finding people doing self-drives in the Cape, saying they cannot leave their metro or district? And I have Vegas Berger from Network 24. Are people allowed to go on holiday and stay in hotels and B&Bs? And are they allowed to travel across municipal and provincial borders to go on holiday? He's asking a second question. Are friends and family allowed to meet in restaurants? If so, why are people still not allowed to visit their friends at their homes? I have Mariam Issa from Finweek. Will parks and nature reserves be allowed to reopen? Will wildlife parks be able to take leisure visitors overnight? And I have a Christian Duplessis as a second question. How many customers will be allowed in restaurant?
Let me just come in there. I think let it be the last one,
The
and
last
the
one.
minister responds.
I have the
And
last one, Mr. Chair.
It's the very last one. Okay.
Yes. I have Angelo Coppola, CGNT. Can the minister please confirm that leisure travel is still banned?
Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you very much, Tatana Baloyi. Let me start with the issue of hunting. If you remember, you look at the statement that we issued. We issued tourism directly activities and tourism-related activities. Hunting is tourism-related activity that is under Minister Chrissy in terms of the regulation. So the direction. So Minister Chrissy will be the person that issues more details. So we do, because we recognize those because they do play a role in tourism. That's why even on transport we'll do tourism-related activities under transport. For example, when domestic flights were open for business, we spoke about this. I'm just giving you so that you understand when we say, because they are enablers to tourism and activities. It also relates to what I was asked, I think, Fin Week, where it was talking about parks and nature reserve. Those are under Minister Chrissy in terms of the work that needs to be done. But just to explain, when we say leisure, we talk about holiday. So leisure is not yet allowed. Leisure activities, so I can't go with my family and my children, go and book in a hotel for a weekend. It's still not allowed. What has been allowed is business activities or permitted activities. That's why I explained when I was speaking that when you look at the regulations issued last night, you'll find where it says leisure activity as per level 3. Leisure activity mainly is around the self-drive. Self-drive is within the province, but you'd find that, you'd note that, colleagues, there's an issue around hotspots, that they will regularly issue guidelines in terms of those, or even regulations around dealing with those. But within a province, you are allowed to do a self-drive, but they will not be able to accommodate you because you are a leisure. Accommodation for leisure is not yet allowed. So that's what I needed to explain, because quite a number of questions are confusing the issue around leisure. Other questions, colleagues, I need to stick to my mandate as Minister of Tourism. The other question will relate broadly in terms of why people can't go where visiting families are not tourism activities. So I deal with tourism activities and related activities. That's my mandate. I don't want to overstep my mark or do an overtime of work that is not paid. So I must stick to my mandate. Alcohol, yes, it's still within takeaway. No alcohol consumption on site. When alcohol on consumption is allowed, it will be reflected on the regulations. So that area, in terms of the regulations that have been issued last night, has not changed. Meaning, including ourselves in the tourism sector, we have to comply with that area of requesting all the alcohol for off-site consumption. I must say, colleagues and fellow tourism sector colleagues is that, one, as a Minister of Tourism, I take the steps one step at a time, because I do understand the importance of us, yes, opening the sector and getting our sector fully actively involved, but we are not blind to the challenge that the country and globally we are faced with. There is a pandemic that is very aggressive, that is rampaging nations. Government is doing what it needs to do. The health department constantly, if you listened in the few days ago, or even within a week, many of the health and Minister Mkhize has appealed for us to comply as society, because we need to find a point where we flatten the curve. The increasing numbers of people who daily are perishing, who are dying, is not something that we want to see. The rate of infection that is continuously increasing. We need to work together, including us in the tourism sector, assist the Minister of Health to be able to manage the pandemic. We should not have our health systems being overwhelmed. That has been the appeal, even when the President announced the first lockdown, was to ensure that we can try and contain the virus, the pandemic, so that we don't reach a point where our health system collapses or is overwhelmed by the number of people that are arriving, and we are not able to deal with that as a country. There are lessons in global communities that we use daily, including ourselves as tourism. We do look at various countries as they open for tourism activities and look at where they are. We are definitely hoping that in the coming months we'll see more and more activities in the tourism, but we are not blind to the reality of the challenge that we face. So my appeal is that I am passionate about tourism. I am passionate about us getting back to work. We are cognizant, as I've been saying daily, that many people are losing their jobs, but the reality is that we do have a pandemic that must be fought against. The issue of the relief fund, yes, I've said it in the beginning when we announced the 200 million, that this is not enough for us. But we are in a context where we've listened to the Minister of Finance a couple of days ago. The fiscus is shrinking daily. We have a challenge of a budget, so we do not have money to give more. That's why we've been appealing for the sector to start coming back. And we are hoping that South Africans will get out, go sit in a restaurant and have a meal, so that you can provide a livelihood for those who are in the restaurant. We hope that South Africans, as we open, will understand the importance of us opening and do not see us as being reckless and risking their lives. This we're doing in the efforts to balance lives and livelihood. It is not an easy balance, but we are hoping as we work together, both all of us, both as society and government, we will be able to beat this virus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think, Minister, you have answered most of the burning questions that were asked, but we'll just take now the very last round before we close the briefing. Any other questions? Let's start first with the SMS questions. Do you have any calls?
Yes, Chairperson, we have Borin from Travel Weekly. You can go ahead, Borin.
Good day, Minister. I wanted to know, the President announced that there would be an easing of the regulation on accredited and licensed accommodation. Now it seems that there is no change to those regulations for accommodations. Can you explain what he was referring to when he mentioned that easing of the regulations? And secondly, could you explain, when you refer to accredited or licensed accommodation, what licensing are you referring to?
Thank you very much. Any other call?
That's all we had, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that was the last call that we are taking. Can I check if we have any closing SMSs?
Yes, Chair. Is a follow-up from Matthew from Times Live. He's still asking, can you confirm that restaurants and etc. can open up from Monday? So I think she didn't answer that question.
Thank you very much, Minister. That was the last round of questions. We'll invite the Minister to also make the closing remarks on this matter.
Allow the DG, because there's one question I'm battled to hear, so
Okay.
he did pick that up.
DG first. Thank you.
It's a good practice for conferencing. The question was in relation to Program Director. It was in relation to the issue of accommodation, and specifically it seeks to understand what is meant by permitted accommodation facilities, so to say. Now, we're talking about accommodation that is business, that is in the accommodation space, not, if you saw in the regulations, not the sharing of homes. So these are people that are zoned as accommodation providers for commercial purposes, and that would be done by their municipalities and so on. So they are in the business of provision of accommodation, as opposed to someone who is basically in the activity of home sharing, which is not necessarily a business. So you're in your own home and you are actually receiving
Activities or tourism business people, or whether tourist guides in the townships, in the rural areas. We want to thank you for your emails, your WhatsApps, your Twitters, Twitter messages, your Facebook messages. Some, yes, it's feedback to us. Some, it's things that we need to pay attention to. We'll continue to do our best to serve you as a sector and to serve the nation. As we continue to work, as I said, we work within a collective of government, and we do have a responsibility both to yourself, but also broadly to the nation. So as we do this work that we are doing, we are able to do what we do because of the partnership. I want to emphasize that. We would not have reached this level had we not worked together with the sector. Had not the sector agreed for us to have the webinars, for the sector not agreeing for us to have those Zoom meetings where we literally look at all the protocols, ensure that they are inclusive. We're literally making sure that we talk to all the people that are affected, where we ask questions. And we'll continue to do that as we work. We did indeed, some people have asked me to say, we saw a lot of activities coming ahead prior to those that were expected at level 1 and level 2. And we do say that it's because of the work. We had to do the protocols. We had to satisfy health department to say we are responsible as a sector and we will continue to be responsible. And with those words, Program Director, thank you very much. We look forward to continue to work and for more activities to coming to life, and hoping next time we do meet, the pandemic would have been able to beat the virus and we can see our skies opened. And those who are looking forward to leisure, like myself, also those who are looking forward to visiting friends and family, will definitely take our short left again. We'll definitely do tourism again. But until then, let's stay safe. Thank you.
As we come to the end of this press briefing, let me remind all at home, all South Africans, that the message of government is still very clear. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's follow all the precautions and the protocols. Sanitize, wash your hands with soap. Make sure that your mask is on. Let us avoid all the crowded areas. Let us make sure that we don't compromise the health of each and everyone around. a re boneng hore re tlhapa matsoho ka sesepa, a re boneng hore re ske be ra ya dikopanong tse di sa letlelwang le ho ikra re le mo dikopanong tse dintsi, a re boneng hore re tsenya di-mask tsa rona, re sala molao morago o re bolelang hore bolwetse bo bo sa le teng. Ka moo le rona re a leboha, and thank you very much and good night at home.